Now, despite the struggles in Hollywood, co-productions are flourishing, and China also flourishing as well. Peter Shiao is the founder and CEO of Orb Media. He has managed joint venture projects with China Film Group and China Film Co-Production Corporation. And I asked him how Chinese investment in Hollywood has changed over the last decade.
Well, I think this is, many people will say Hollywood's primary color is green, the color of currency, and this is all attributed to the explosive growth of the Chinese filmed entertainment industry in the past 10 years, where on average the industry's grown between 25 and in incredible years, close to 50% year-on-year in growth. So as China now is becoming the world's second largest film market, it would be very obvious, it would be a very natural evolution of things for China to be more in the driver's seat, and of course that involves co-investing in projects.
There was an interesting deal a couple of years ago from the Dalian Group. They bought AMC theaters for a few $1 billion. That was a historic deal, and a lot of people were trying to guess what would be the purpose aside from just making money. Is there perhaps some sort of cultural exchange, some sort of, what is it? Why are the Chinese so interested in Hollywood, besides the fact that it's very glamorous and for some people they can make a lot of money?
Well, money is one part of it, but there's also know-how. Keep in mind that Hollywood has been around for over a century, and over that century, we figured out how to do certain things, how to tell stories, the technology of filmmaking. And Hollywood also has an enormously powerful global distribution and marketing network, not just in North America, around the world. You put all of those things together, coupled with the fact that it remains the world's largest market for filmed entertainment, that this is where growth is, not only from a Chinese perspective, from a global perspective, and I think it plays an important role in the soft power of it all, if you will.
Well, as I've told a lot of people, one of the United States' biggest exports is actually not planes and trains, it's actually entertainment, and a large part of that comes from Hollywood. Now, a lot of executives, they're trying to get access as well to China, so it's actually a two-way street, right? How's that coming along?
It's an absolute two-way street. I have an ongoing joke that I'm more likely to run into one of my Hollywood studio head friends, in a fancy hotel room in Beijing than here in town. So absolutely the race is on, and in my conversations with all the major studios, I think they are looking at China as their #1 priority for growth.
Now,
so it is absolutely the conundrum or the metaphor of the surrounded fortress.
Yeah.
People on the inside, namely China, are trying to get out, and those on the outside trying to get in.
I guess what I'm getting to is what's in it for the U.S. film companies? I mean, I can understand distribution for movies, for example, in China. What's in it for a U.S. company? Why would they want, for example, to partner with a Chinese company? I mean, it must be a two-way street where they get something significant in return, right?
Well, I mean, we could get into the weeds of Chinese policy. Right now, there's only 34 Hollywood movies being imported into China on a revenue-sharing basis, and as the Chinese market continues to grow, the kind of financial participation a company would get from China, as grosses are now in the hundreds of millions per title, so you can imagine that's a very, very healthy piece of revenue. You're not seeing that kind of growth anywhere around the world. And for other companies that even want to dive in further, they could make their film an official co-production with China, which is treated as a Chinese film.
And that leads to all other things as well, because we were talking about the business of movies. Now we're talking about the business of making movies. You're talking about production. Iron Man 3 is another example, and there's a number of movies that are now being actually produced in China. How big is that marketplace for the two sides?
I think every serious producer in Hollywood has an active plan to engage China as one of their top priorities right now. So it's not a fad, it's a reality of life. When China is set to overtake North America in terms of box office within the next 5 years, that reality is setting in. So it is something that everybody is contemplating in one aspect or another. Now, there are plenty of different strategies out there. However, you could be making English language co-productions with China. You could be, like Disney, making global movies with some Chinese elements, and in the hope that you're one of the movies imported into China, and that you will do better in China as a result of having these Chinese elements. And another strategy that I think most of the studios, myself included, are making Chinese language films strictly for that marketplace.